Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hangout Cafe. I'm your host Joseph Njau. And we're going to continue the conversation that we've been going through, and that is the question, are Kenyan people naive? Well, in this instance, I'm going to say yes. And why am I saying yes? It will be because of one, let's talk about the illiteracy levels. Now, illiteracy levels in this country are not that high. They have improved over time, meaning that we have gradually increased the number of people who have joined formal school and who have learned various forms of learning. But on the same front, there are people who haven't yet gotten an opportunity to join school. Now, we may say that the people who haven't yet learned or haven't gotten an opportunity to study, we may say that they comprise of the young who haven't joined formal school, or we may say they are part of the people who have dropped out of formal school. Now, dropping out of formal school doesn't necessarily mean that you have the capability to comprehend various manifestos that you're given or various plans that politicians do set for, like a roadmap or a blueprint of whatever they want to achieve. But at the same time, going to formal school, succeeding or graduating from, let's say, Form 4 and joining university does not yet mean that you can understand the legal lingo that they use in such documents. But on the same front, or trying to comprehend on the same, is that you may find that out of your own, how will I put it? You may find that out of your own bias and out of your own preference, you choose not to consider the gaping holes that might be present, or you choose not to consider your own basic instinct after going through such a document. Meaning that whatever result that is there afterwards, in whichever capacity that is not 100%. You haven't given it 100%. You've just followed what a friend did. You've just followed what a mentor did. You've just followed the crowd. In these times that you're just an idol of is it idols of the mind? If I'm not wrong, you've just followed what other people are doing. So if in any instance that a spotlight is put on you for you to explain as to why you've chosen that particular direction, you have no concrete answer. You can't basically defend your choice because you just followed what everybody did. The other perspective is, and I've already touched on it, is political influence. Now, political influence doesn't necessarily mean that you're following what your favorite politician does, or your favorite party does, or your favorite persons, your friend, your family, your father, mother, in whichever capacity that person is, whatever choice that they make. It just means that whichever political narrative that is around you 24/7, that will most basically influence what you're going to do next, or what you're going to support. And you find that you can't escape it. You can't escape it. It's part of nature. It's part of whatever is going on, your social surrounding. You can't escape it. But at the same time, are you a person who can stand by yourself and interrogate every single aspect that has been brought to you? And by doing that, be able to make conclusions of your own. For example, as a young person, whenever a manifesto is brought to me, or whenever a plan that is brought to me, whether it is in corporate I have no choice, whether it is in is in politics or in school, or in whichever capacity that I'm in there, I have to read through and then ask questions of my own. And these questions of my own will determine which path I'm going to take. That is me. I don't know if that is the same as you. But we have always suffered from different ailments as a society, and one of those is that we tend up to gang up into our own respective tribes. And young people have come forward and have shown that it doesn't matter from where you come from, as long as you're of sound mind, and as long as your opinions, as long as your opinions do make sense, that will support you. It's just a matter of you explaining yourself as rationally as possible, and they have to make sense. But time and time again, some of this aspect is faulted in the fact that it gets to some point where we also gang up according to people who are of a similar opinion as us. Not understand that people who have a different opinion, they do have a different opinion, but that doesn't mean that they are different from us. It necessarily means that they hold a different opinion. And if you listen to the different opinion, and if they had merit, you need to acknowledge that aspect. And does not necessarily mean you change your own opinion, but it means that you either get influenced by that opinion, or you acknowledge that opinion and you head on to a different discussion. You don't necessarily have to agree on one. It means that you have to appreciate where another person is coming from. See the world according to their eyes, because sometimes these opinions are formulated from an informed perspective or from an experienced perspective, meaning that there is a reason behind somebody holding that opinion. And understanding that reason as to why a person has that opinion will bring you closer to understanding each other. You don't necessarily have to hold a similar opinion. It just necessarily means you get to understand one another. And isn't it much more easier to understand one another rather than to keep on fighting one another? So it is important to take your time to understand another's perspective with regard to every single aspect of our lives. And most importantly, even once it comes to every 5 years when we have to choose new leaders, you have to understand their perspective. You have to interrogate their perspective.